Hi everyone and welcome to Discover History. You've got me today, I'm back. As some of you are aware, I had emergency life-saving surgery in December, which I'm still recovering from. So the work that I'm doing at the moment is very few and far between, but I'm pleased to try and do as many videos as I can when I've got the strength to do so. So for now, sometimes you may just have to put up with Paul a little bit longer. But we hope you are enjoying them all anyway. Today I wanted to do a little bit of a talk about family history, because most people are looking for new things to do at home, and one of the addictive things that you can do is start looking at your family history. Where did you come from? If you've got any famous ancestors through time, did they have interesting jobs? Did anyone fight in the First World War? So where to begin really? Well, your best steps is to talk to family members, and this, you know, we can't meet up, but we can do it via Skype or Zoom. You can do it over the telephone as well, and find out about people. Who were sort of your grandparents, brothers and sisters? Did they do anything interesting? And make a list and see how far you can get it back. With good starting points, it's always good to get when they were born, a rough idea. When they married, who did they marry? What was their maiden name, if it's known? And sadly, when did they pass away as well? All of this helps build a picture. It's a starting point for you to kind of put flesh back on the bones to help you out. Now, once you've got that information, there are amazing sites you can go on. Two of them in particular being Ancestry and Find My Past. Now, out of both of those, my personal preference is Find My Past. I find that one a lot easier to use, and I find it a bit more worthwhile for money as well. So through that, you can then look at censuses online. So we've got the 1939 register. You've got censuses going back from 1841 up to 1911 at the moment, and all of them give you lots of bits of information from who they were living with, their occupation, a rough idea of age. Ages can fluctuate on them as well, and where they were born. Now, for us here, I've done a lot on my family history and I've taught it as well. A lot of my family seem to come from Worcestershire. They've started stretching out to Gloucestershire, Wales, and I've even got Irish in my family as well. On my one side, I've managed to get it back to 1732. On the other one, I'm about 1820s at the moment. I'm struggling with a few names. But there's also other information that you can get online as well. There's the newspapers that you've got. And I've got one here for one of my family members, and sadly he was quite naughty and he stole walnuts. So it says William Griffiths and Herbert Wood, that's my ancestor, labourers of Kemsey, were charged with stealing a quarter of a peck of walnuts, the property of John Beardsmore, on the 25th of October. This is 1885. P.C. Gibbs, on the afternoon of the day in question, watched a tree belonging to the prosecutor and saw the defendants pick up some walnuts and put them in their pockets. When they saw them, they ran away. Defendants admitted the offence and were fined 12 shillings 6pence, including costs. All of this information I've managed to get online. Usually I'd say go and visit the History Centre to you, the local family history centre or archives. They've got lots of documents in there, including parish registers. At the moment, we can't do that, but the internet is a really good source. If you can't afford to pay for a subscription at the moment, you've also got another site which is called FreeBMD. If you give it a Google, it will come up, and that will give you information on births, deaths and marriages. It varies between what parish or what county it was, to what information's available online there. But when you do get the information, you are able to then order a certificate. So what you then need to do is go to the general registration. They can email you a certificate. It costs £7 and they send you a PDF for this. If you wanted a hard copy sent to you, I think it was something like £12 including postage, and what they send you is something like this. Now what I've got here is the marriage certificate for Christopher William Davis. This was my great great uncle, and he fought in the First World War and sadly never made it back home. He's buried in France. He was 22 when he married, and he was a bachelor. He was a horse groom by trade, and at the time of the marriage he was living in Broughton Hackett. You also get names of the fathers on there as well. So I've got his wife and what she did. She was a spinster with no occupation. And here it's got where they got married. So it was at the Church of St Peter the Great in Worcester. But you also get in the presence of, so the one name here, Gladys May Davis, that was his sister, so she was one of the witnesses. So it's information like this that's always interesting. Another thing that to look out for as well is they married by licence. Now marrying by licence meant they didn't have to go through the banns system, where it's announced and people can object. If you get a licence, you get further information then, and he probably got the licence 1915 during the First World War, speed up the marriage that way, and then he can put his wife in his will. So should anything happen to him, sadly it did, all his personal effects then were left to his wife. Other information you can get online as well as military records. So for him, I've managed to find through the Commonwealth War graves where he's actually buried, and I was quite fortunate enough a couple of years ago to go and visit his grave. But you can also get information, should it have survived from the Blitz, like his service records, his sign-up records, his medal index card, his will itself. I've only managed to get a few bits for him, as well as other ancestors as well. But going further back, I've got another ancestor, and this was 1887. I'm not quite sure how well you can see that, but it's my ancestor Walter Sherwood, and he signed up and requested in 1887 to be part of the Durham Light Infantry. He was only in there for a short time, came back to Worcestershire, and he was a bit of a rogue. He ended up in Parkhurst prison for 20 years for penal servitude, so not a good character really. I've also got another ancestor that I found purely again through going through their names on the internet and on these pages, that I found was in the Grenadier Guards during the Crimean War. Sadly, he wasn't in it long enough to get the Crimean War medal, but again I've got his service records to find out that he enjoyed it for so long, and then he got bored, and then he went absent without leave, and then he disappeared into pubs and was found there and then put into an army prison when he was caught. Good service again. So all this information is kind of putting flesh on the bones on, you know, your ancestors, where you came from. I would say if you're not interested in being shocked, so if you're, you know, of a position where you might not like what you find, don't look at it. But I find these things interesting. When I started, I was going, oh, I've got another Gloveress in the family. I've got another agricultural labourer. And then the moment I had convict, it was like, oh, it fires you up and you get completely addicted. As I say, I've run courses before in family history, house history, military history. And if any of you are starting up and you've got any questions, by all means, do feel free to ask. I am more than happy to try my best to help. Please remember, we are limited to how much we can do, given that we're not allowed to leave the house at the moment. But if you've already started your family history and thought, Joe, I don't need to look at it again, do. They're always adding new stuff online. Don't think it's a wasted prescription, because for me, I've been doing mine for over 10 years now, and I am always finding new stuff. Last week in itself, when I had the strength to have a look, I found more news cuttings of new articles going online. So never ever think there's nothing out there that you can't find. It is a good starting point to do. I hope this has helped. Remember, speak to people, speak to your family members, especially before it's too late. One of the things I regret doing is not speaking to my great nan so much to find out the real names of her sort of brothers and sisters. She was one of 14. And when I speak to my nan, I have things like, oh, well, there was Bert. And then she told me it was Albert. In reality, it was Herbert. So you can literally start looking up the wrong path. But make sure you get all this information, photographs as well. My nan last night was talking to me about her sorting through the family albums, and she was in tears looking at photos of me as a child when I spent a lot of time with them. So, you know, there's lots to go through and lots of time that we can spend at the moment finding out where we came from. And you never know, you, like Danny Dyer, might be related to royalty. Who knows? On that note, thank you for listening. As I say, do make comments on the page. Do subscribe to our channel. If I can help in any way, please let me know. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow and hearing your stories. Thank you ever so much. Bye.